that I have this case. I need someone who is tough, very knowledgeable about the law, very articulate, and can handle my arguments for me. That I have made press conferences against the government that I wouldn't allow a Chief Justice from the previous era to be sacked because the new government wanted to put in his place another Chief Justice that could probably favor them. Then Justice Akins looked at me and said, the only lawyer who is very smart, knows the law, very articulate, and can argue his case properly is Akufo-Addo, Nana Addo Dankwa. Do you know him? I said, yes. He's a friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. As far back as 1980, then we got into town. Now, the reason why I brought this lengthy statement along was that one of the initial things that the Attorney General at the time, Joe Randolph, a very learned man, another articulate lawyer who was defending the case for the government, asked a basic question, that this man is an Ashanti. Chief Justice is an Ewe. What interest has an Ashanti got to do with an Ewe? They are not brothers in any way. They are not friends. They are not classmates. So what business does this man have to be here? Nana got up and said, he is here because he's a citizen of Ghana. When you go into interpretations of the Constitution at the Supreme Court, that point becomes extremely important. That's why when this case started, they mentioned as one of the cases quoted, the Tufo versus the Attorney General, because of that fact. Nana Addo, Jacob Echebelamte, Bawumia are there as human beings, as Ghanaians, contesting, bringing a case to court at the Supreme Court. It is definitely proper. They just also happen to be the NPP top brass. Okay. So there's no argument about that.
So that having been dealt with, the other argument that Mr. Kwame Pianim seeks to put forward is that Nana Addo is no longer the leader of the party, and so he should not hold himself as the leader of the party.
That's a very laughable statement. On the surface, it may look serious. But let me interpret our Constitution for you. But first of all, let me tell you that the Constitution was written by 5 people, and I was one of them. I wrote the first 27 pages of the original Constitution. So I know the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. Before, when we are going to struggle for presidency, the leader of the party is the chairman when we are in the opposition. When we field a flag bearer, he is our leader. He holds the flag. He bears the flag. He is our leader. Now, when he goes and loses the election, he's no longer the leader, but the chairman takes over. We have not lost any election. Otherwise, we won't be in court. We are in court because the party believes that we have not lost our election.
Backed by very strong evidence.
Yes, absolutely. So as far as we are concerned, Nana Addo is still our leader. And what is important, mark you, that we do not act independently of our supporters. They form the majority. We are Democrats. And the majority will see him and see him as such. He is the leader of this party. If I go and try to pull myself as a leader or something, they will laugh at me. Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is accepted without doubt. Now, take me serious on this matter because I was part of the people who wrote it. There was a problem at the time, and I'm not going to go into details, otherwise I'll expose some of our private affairs in public. But for the benefit of this argument, there was a power struggle. Dubois at the time, Professor Dubois, was a strong person, and so was Darocha. B.J. Darocha was a very strong chairman. And therefore, there was a small power struggle. I was caught in the middle, also with Nanado, because Nanado was his darling boy. And I come in very enthusiastic, and he liked me. So I went in to argue with him about this state of affairs. And whatever was written down, there was the understanding, perfect understanding, that when Dubois was supposed to have lost, hence the stolen verdict at that time, it was very clear that the power had to shift to Darocha. With a little bit of struggle, we settled that. Okay, so no matter who quotes what of this thing, the spirit with which we wrote that constitution makes Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo the leader of our party. I don't see why we should worry ourselves about a situation that is so obvious, unless individuals have personal squabbles with one another. But as far as NPP is concerned, he is our leader. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure that you, the viewers, are loving the education and the history that we are being told today. Fortunately, I have to take my first break, and I'll come back shortly. Welcome back. I believe that the discussion is getting very interesting. Let me remind all viewers that the person I have in my studios today was the petitioner or the plaintiff in the case of Tufo versus Attorney General. So yes, he has a lot of authority when it comes to the matters of court issues and all of that, as we are speaking about. But doctor, I want to ask you a very, right question. Some people within our party have intimated that Mr. Kwame Pianim is to be ignored because he attempted to become the flag bearer of the party and was barred by law. And so perhaps he's bitter about it. What do you think of that?
That's a very serious question. Yes, at that time, he wanted to be president. I would say he could have been a good president. He works hard, and at that time, my judgment of him was that he could have been a fine president. His approach was wrong. My approach would have been for him to get clearance as a parliamentary candidate at the time, so that he would have satisfied the rules, and then he could have resigned from that and come in. Of course, we're dealing with a very strong opponent. It was Rawlins's time, okay? And he was banned. Now, anybody who wants to be president, like the 17 people contested in 2007, quite a number of them could have successfully come around. However, in his case, what I would say is that if he felt so strongly to be a leader, then of course, by stopping him, by the law stopping him, he could be bitter. It is possible. I'm not saying I know it for sure, but he's a human being. And therefore, he could be critical of other presidential candidates. Maybe objectively, he does it because he's being objective. He's trying to say what he thinks and feels. But as a human being, you can't rule that one out totally. Someone trying to run a show like this, he will be critical of other people who are attempting to do that.
Dealing with the bare facts, you and I have appraised ourselves with the extent of the evidence and the material behind the case that the NPP has put before the court. Do you think that if Kwame Pianim had endeavored to familiarize himself with the evidence and exactly the process, he would have made the statements he made?
I can't talk for him. But the obvious thing is that maybe he would have stopped making that statement. On the other hand, he could feel strongly, he's somebody who has strong convictions, could feel strongly about it regardless of the details of the argument. So you must know that Roku Brobe came out with it.
Yeah.
These are all people with some question marks about real membership of the party. But we still welcome anybody who wants to be a member of the party. The motive behind the criticisms, I cannot tell. I just disagree with the motives, whatever it is. Because the action has come out and it does not sound right. We have solid evidence in court. We knew it right from the beginning that the verdict had been stolen again. There was immediate evidence, and we had to go work hard to put all of them together. It wasn't an easy task. And I must commend Dr. Bawumia for leading the group in terms of pulling enormous evidence together. Anybody who hadn't really come to terms with the details of the evidence could probably make loose statements. On the other hand, if you already feel prejudiced that we shouldn't have gone to court, okay, when the entire party with its leadership had agreed to do that, then you are really undermining the credibility of the party as a whole.
Okay. Now, this is where the confusion comes in, because if I remember, on December 21st, Mr. Kwame Pianim, the same man, said the party should go to court.
Now, before I comment on that, one thing that this country should never forget, that the mood of the supporters of NPP and the masses of people who were yearning for change, because their lifestyles were changing, they didn't have hope, water was running short, electricity was a problem, a whole lot, they couldn't pay school fees for their children and all that. We're looking for a change. So the mood was one of street protest. And Nanado, having given in 2008, even though we believed the verdict was against Sterling, has to be highly commended for showing the kind of leadership, for switching the people's minds from a street action into a court action. Now, let me explain the two actions properly. He has led groups or worked with groups to hit the street at a particular time in our history. That was when we were fighting for real democracy to come in. Unigov time, PMFJ time, and all that. It was appropriate at that time. He showed leadership and involvement, commitment for democracy. This time round, for someone who has been badly bitten twice, the second time, the easiest solution was to allow people to go and protest on the streets. He decided against it, and he showed leadership to pull the forces behind him. Then let's go to court. So he needs to be commended properly. Any foreigner listening to me right now should let the home government understand that Nanado's stance or the NPP stance is the most democratic approach one could take. It's a further step towards the growth of Ghana's democracy. Let's go to court. Whereas the action at the time, given the reasons of the general population, the need for people to want to go to the street to react, and Nanado, having working so hard to be president, and then he was denied because of a stolen verdict again. Could have supported the street march. He said, no, let me take this alternative. Ghana had moved to the point in a democratic search for democracy that they had to go to court. Now, if PNM had agreed with Nanado's intention, what makes him change his mind now?
He says that the young judiciary of Ghana should not be made to determine a matter as highly as this. Importantly, he does not doubt what we have. What he says is that the judiciary is young, we should not bring such matters before it.
Our judiciary is not young. It's as old as our democracy as well. Let me put it in that kind of context. During Tufo versus Attorney General, the judges were bold enough to look at the case, the merits of the case, and they judged it to keep the Chief Justice in place. They judged it against the government of the day. This was 1980.
Military.
Yes. Now, look at it carefully. This is another challenge the judiciary has. Why should you want to treat our judiciary as a baby judiciary? No, it's a highly respected group of learned people who care for this country, who care about the truth. Why should they be tested? Their duty is to look at facts and make judgment. It's not a test. They are also playing a role for our democracy. If they come out, given the merits of the case, and they say, by the information we have, by the arguments, this is the judgment. They are doing their work. Nobody should bring them, baby them as if they are young. No, they're matured, coming to give judgment on issues that will help the country, move the country forward. This is what they are supposed to do. This is why it's so important that when they give judgment, both sides must accept. And they should feel confident and strong enough, like their colleagues did in 1980 and in other cases. And I trust them. I respect them. You know, in the 70s, I had come from the US, a young lecturer, and, you know, quite hot-headed too. Highly political. First, I changed my name from Samuel Tufo to Kwame Amwaku Tufo. Part of the political growth. Then, you know, that time, I looked through, and this is another area I was bonding seriously with my old friend, Danado. I set up a pressure group called National Progressive Union, NPU. And all that we had to do was to make sure we protect the judiciary, and through that, the Attorney General's office, the judiciary mostly, judges, courts, and then the Auditor General, so that governments will be accountable. The independence of the judiciary, the Auditor General has to be independent, and then the Accountant General. So we're all the time eagerly looking for governments trying to attack them. And then we come in. It was a national group. And we did very well. Okay? And this was in 70, 77, 8, 9, thereabouts. It was very strong. And that is when Apalu was being toyed with by the government of the day. It was a game time for us. A Chief Justice was going to be sacked because the government of the day didn't like the Chief Justice. You can't do that. In any case, the constitution of the country did not allow it. They were trying to bully it out and overlook it. And the judges at the time, Soa, VRC, Crab, Adade, Japan, those must be highly commended. They were bold, looked at the law, and you should have seen Anado in action. He had a beard like that, you know, with a mustache tied, long lawyer, very solid. Now this man has matured. He wants to run a country not because he has relationship with Dankwa Buzia tradition by this. You will come to that question.
Yeah, I'll come to that question.
Now,
but
so that is it.
Okay, for now, I'll take another break. Please stay tuned and let's come back to listen to the words of the man affectionately known as the General. Welcome back to Minority Caucus. Today we have in the studio the General himself, one of the biggest names in the NPP, Dr. Kwame Amoako-Tufo, the former head of the school feeding program. Doctor, now going back to our discussion, let's link all of what Mr. Kwame Pianim said to what Dr. Rekobrabe has also said, and how do you find it? Very destructive comments.
It's like General Mosquito making destructive comments. He talks and gives destructive comments. Let me tell you, year 2000, at times I don't understand what is wrong with Democrats. People believe in the freedom of choice, expression, and all that. At times they must close in and be tight. Rekobrabe in 2000 had resigned from NPP to contest J. Kufuor. He had a name of a party. The country, with respect, rejected him. He didn't have one MP or something in Parliament. Maybe he didn't even put people forward. I don't remember the detail very well. But he lost miserably. The country rejected him. Now, during that time, he mounted a platform and insulted J. Kufuor. I'm not going to repeat those things. Other people can repeat that. As soon as J. Kufuor won the election, and I'd gone to J. Kufuor's house, the next day, he was in shorts and came to J. Kufuor's house. J. Kufuor opened his door for him. I took him there. I took him through the garage, through the kitchen, through the sitting room, to a small office in J. Kufuor's house. They had a chat for some time. The next thing I heard of him was big posts. To me, it was ridiculous, unacceptable. Not a party man at that point in time, because he had formed this party. I don't know when he joined the party. Again, I am not going there, not public. If I have a problem, I'll stay inside with my party officials and discuss and find out when he became an MPP again to even be allowed. That's where the open-mindedness gets to me. Why was he allowed to run for chairmanship of the party? Very dangerous situation. It's just that people still rejected him. Supposing he had won, a non-party man that had been babied and kept in there and all that would have come out, the leader, the chairman at the time of the party.
We're too democratic?
Too open-minded. We're learning the democracy too much. At times, we have to put brakes and ask questions. But you see, the tolerance of each other, the ability to say, no, let the people decide. He wants to run, fine. Let the people decide. It's a beauty. We had gone really far with our democracy. But I have brought this example in to say that, was he really a member of the party to have the temerity to attack the party the way he did under the pretext that he was a member of the party? I could understand General Mosquito throwing his tantrums because he's in the opposing camp. But someone, was he pretending to be a member? That membership thing has to be very well established by the party. Okay? So this is my beef.
Okay.
As far as personal things is concerned, he's my friend. I can assure you, he's my friend. There's no two ways about it. But we're talking politics now. No friendly business. Kwame Pianim, I respect. He's like my brother. No. He does something wrong. If I do something wrong, he will attack me. But that's for the benefit of the young people that are coming up.
Doctor, you've mentioned exactly what it was that I was about to move on to. The young people that are coming up within the party. There seems to be a little bit of agitation here and there and all of that. Really, what do you make of the current situation in the party, especially regarding the young people? And what do you want to tell them as an elderly statesman?
What I want to tell them is that I've been a young man before. The youthful exuberance is always there. You have gone to school, you are ICT savvy and all that, which is what Kwame Pianim is talking about. Okay? Now, that is not enough. You need experience to be in politics. People have to learn to walk before they run. The youth have a serious role in the party towards leadership. The older people should give way, but it shouldn't be a sharp process. You must train people. You must have leadership structure for the future. Who are being groomed? What is the situation like? In every country, you have old people, highly respected, and have certain rights within the party.
Okay.
Not
Doc,
just a matter of getting up, getting behind, and allowing all the young men to take over. They may not have the necessary temperament, which grows with time, the experience that time also allows. But we must make conscious effort to allow them to take key places so that we groom them early enough. We should give way to them. But it must be in a progressive manner, the trained manner. Okay. You see, let me give you an example. If you are too young and Kwesi Pratt gets up to say, school feeding, Dr. Makutufo is giving rotten tomatoes to children to eat, you get angry and shout at him. Rather, I dealt with him this way, that tomato, was I a cook? No, I didn't cook it. 2, who cooks the food for the children? Women, the caterers. Are you insulting Ghanaian women? And he had a lot of NDC people involved in that. I said, no woman will open a rotten tomato and pour it into container and cook for children. No, nothing like that happened. The tomato went chemically bad. They opened, they saw, they didn't cook with it. Very simple. By a politician, they will come out and start joking you that you've given them rotten tomatoes when nobody had given nobody rotten tomatoes. It was a big lie, but they make a political issue out of it. And I sued them in court. And when the bailiff was looking for them, I was very eager to find out where they were. So we're hiding under their beds and telling the gate man to tell them that they weren't there. After a while, somebody came and said, look, forget about it.
Doc, I would ask you to hold on a little bit. A lot of people are waiting to join into this discussion, so I would allow the viewers to do so right now. On the telephone line, 030-2211-701-4. I'll repeat it. 030-2211-701-4. The text lines, as always, remain 1760. Please join us with your thoughts. Please join us with what it is that you have to say to this discussion. So your point is that the youth should take their time and be properly groomed, and that the elderly are also going to create the chances for them.
We have to.
Okay. We've been joined by Osman from Bolga. Osman, how are you?
Osman. Yeah, good evening.
Can you please turn down the volume on your set, please?
No problem, no problem. I'll turn down. Greet doctor for me. Dr. Makuti, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, this is Osman Koko now from Bolga.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have contributed to your program tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And 2000, February 2000, Mr. Kwan Penny resigned from the party. I have a paper. February 2000. At that time, Jacob William was in Bolga at the meeting. So I went out to Bolga and I saw Kwan Penny resigned from the party. And Dr. Chacho Kibobi informed his party in 1996 and failed to get the EC to contest the election. So the 2000 contested. He got 23,000 votes, representing 0.10%. When the second round comes, then he throws his weight behind J. Kufuor. So when Kufuor win the election, on the 7th January, they swept in. On the 9th, I, Sula Yirmiya, Alaji, Seydu Fighter, were at Kufuor House, and we met him there. When Dr. Kufuor was talking about, I was at Kufuor House on the 9th of January, and he was there. Dr. Chateaugood was at Kufuor House.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. We have Avoka. Avoka, how are you?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sir, I want you to ask
Hello?
our founding member. When 1980 we took Nenadu as our lawyer, has he win the case or not?
He won the case.
He win the case?
Yes, it is a very, very popular case that is now...
Again.
Okay, all right, we will.
Hello?
The battle is a lot, so we will.
help us to win this case again.
And I'm saying the battle is a lot, so inshallah we will.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay. Katie from Takrady, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Can you please turn down the volume on your television set?
Yeah, I'll do that, sir. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Blessed.
All right, then. I just want to ask that is it Mr. Kwame Payne, who was the head of what do you call it? Defense before in the Kufuor administration?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But Amor, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm your usual friend from Bando.
Yes, sir.
You are doing a very good job, and I encourage you to do so. And don't mind what the government, those machinery in power will try to discourage us. We are solidly behind you. But I want to assure you of one thing. Whatever the court case may be, as we, the worms of democracy, we understand the principles of the democracy. Let us accept it that way. Whether it goes in our favor or not, let us take it.
Thank you very much for your call. I'll take my last caller. One more caller, and then we'll come back to the studios to wrap up the discussion. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think that would be it for now. Dr. Kwame Amakotifo, so just to wrap up, really, I know that you have a lot of passion for the youth in this country. I know that you have a lot of passion for the children. Looking at the current political situation, what would you tell all of us, the youth included, children included, the parents included?
I think, first of all, the youth, take your time, study the dynamics of the party. Be involved at every level, and if people try to block you because you are young or because you are inexperienced, don't take it too much to heart. Get to people like us, and we will definitely open the avenues so that you can be very useful. You are absolutely useful to us. for the future. It's just that you must learn the ropes, and the older people must know that, look, before we could walk, we could run, we could shout. Now we can't. We can't walk that fast anymore. So we must give way. The leadership thing has to be well structured and all that. 2 days ago, I was on a plane with a gentleman who could walk parts of Kumasi very well. Dr. Kwame Donkofojo.
Yeah.
He's about 80, thereabouts. Now, I was amazed about his mind. He could remember details than most young people. He can argue, he can articulate his thoughts. Now, a person like that, or like a Piaminka, you cannot push them to the back. You need them, you work with them, you learn from them, you pick the experiences with them. I've worked a lot with young people, and you can see their growth. Sooner or later, it's a natural process. We recognize them, we recognize their intellect, and then the experience they've got, we give way. So it's a process for all of us, and not a situation where an incapable old man blocks the young man's chance. No, that shouldn't happen.
Okay.
We should be glad to get more young people coming in so that they can take over effectively. And the interaction ends up being training by itself. Yes.
All right. Those are the words of Dr. Kwame Amakutu. For the youth should take their time, we should take our time and be groomed. On this case, I would like to say that thank you all very much for watching this show. Personally, I'm very grateful to you, my viewers. I'm also very grateful to my directors, to my cameramen, to the soundmen, to the makeup crew, and to everybody here at Multi TV. Dan so Harriet, everybody here. It's been a great time working with you. Hopefully, I'm 1 year older, and so I'll be one more step up in the wiser category as well. Until then, I believe in Ghana. I do politics because I believe that Ghana can develop. The day that we lose that, that's the day I have to resign from politics. Thanks to people like Dr. Kwame Amakutu, thanks to Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, Nana Akomia, and everybody else, Mrs. Goddess Asma, all the great people, Mr. Yabuabing Asamoah. I'm very grateful to you for everything that you have continued to do. And I'm an example of the fact that the NPP actually does want to identify talent, mentor them, and let them go. You, the young people out there as well. Let's bear that in mind always. Let's contribute our quota, and we know that the battle is the Lord's. The Lord will reward us. Good evening.